Just at the park with my morning coffee to get some morning light. It's my current routine. I didn't sleep. Actually, I slept a little bit, probably better than the last few nights, and it's probably not much to say because of how badly I slept. So not a huge bar to get over. I sensed I was awake a lot of the night, like sort of tossing and turning and trying to get comfortable when it's humid. But I think I sensed that there's probably some sleep as well. I wasn't just like wide awake as like previous nights, so that's good. I did do a little bit of exercise yesterday evening, so I know that's always quite good for sleep, to do like a bit of activity and movement sort of earlier in the evening, and then maybe I'll try and do that again tonight. Feel a little bit uneasy, and I don't know if it's just anxious, or I don't know if it's too much to say that I can just feel how sensitive and my body is, and the trauma in it, stored in it, and just the way I'm I guess realising I'm quite far from relaxed. So I was just listening to some ASMR, and as I was listening to it, it was a ASMR audio I listened on Spotify, and it's just sort of saying that you are safe. So it's kind of a repetition of that, and I think what made me realise that I'm not feeling feeling uneasy or anxious or a bit unwell this morning or dysregulated, a word. Sometimes hard to distinguish what's the right word. I guess they're all interchangeable in some respects. Yeah, I was listening to those words saying you are safe, and just feeling that there's so many layers of whatever inside of me, whether it's trauma or pain, and that just, it's so hard for those words to sort of penetrate and to absorb. And it made me think that perhaps I need to listen to more of sort of ASMR and this kind of stuff, or just other things that to relax, just to get used to that. It's almost when you're like really thirsty and just sort of, super hydrating the body with water. And yeah, I'm wondering if that's something I need to do more of, perhaps. Just to take time out just to try and be gentle and try and be vulnerable, to allow in that sort of ease and relaxation of the nervous system, the body and mind. So I think there's a tweet I read from, I follow some mental health doctors, or some doctors that focus on trauma, and one of them said something about, like, especially when we're growing up, we've never really had time to relax, or never really been allowed to relax. Maybe I feel that with me, that is always, we've been programmed to, like, you need to make the most use of time, be productive, not waste time, and all of that wiring and tautness and tension. For me, it's like in the mind and cascading to the body. I can really sense that in me, that it's so hard for me to relax and to do that. I think part of the uneasiness today also is that I've got a bit of a perhaps long day. I got a phone call yesterday about an EMDR. It's called a high intensity CBT EMDR, and it's done. It's going to be done online, which is not something I wanted. I think I requested in person. But there's a few things around that's probably put me on edge a bit, where I don't think it's appropriate for me to come out to the park to do the EMDR session, because I think you've got to, as far as I understand it, you've got to put yourself in a very sort of quiet state to access things as you follow the light movements. And I think at the park it would just be too, I wouldn't be able to relax enough. Number one, holding my phone and stuff, that will sort of prevent me from trying to relax the body and fully immerse in what's needed. The second thing I was concerned about is the nature of the therapy. I think I was reading that with complex PTSD, that EMDR may not correlate with it, may not sort of correspond with that, because this is my own basic understanding, is that with EMDR, I think it focuses on big trauma events. So you bring up a traumatic event, and with the following the lights, you kind of process that or talk about it, and maybe with the way the therapy is done, you can access it deeper maybe, or process it more. But with complex PTSD, it's not as if I can remember some traumatic things, but there's just so many that, and there's not the memory of to go deep into it. There's just so many small all together, and I don't think EMDR might be scratching my back. Might be might sort of work out with that. It's something when I got the phone call yesterday, it was kind of all really, I know that I'm really aware that public services for counselling and therapies are very under strain, and I asked the person booking, I said is that something you'd know about, and she said no, but she did suggest that this therapy is very rare, and it's a long waiting list, and I think I've been on the waiting list for over a year, maybe well over a year perhaps. So and the reason why I've not really been sort of stressing about it, or why hasn't this therapy come up, and what's how longer is it going to be, is because of that sort of complex PTSD, and if that sort of works with EMDR. So that'll be something I'll be asking today. So because I can't do it in the park, I'm going to have to catch the bus to visit my brother, who lives like an hour away. And on one hand, it doesn't seem too bad because I'm used to the journey. So sometimes an hour on a bus to going somewhere can feel like it's a lot, and that's a huge amount. But because I've done it quite often, it may not seem as bad. But it's also, I don't want to kind of take that journey, get there, then speak to the practitioner, and then them say, it's not going to be as effective, or it may not help in that way. But I know I guess I'm just worried it's going to be a waste of time and a waste of energy to kind of go specifically to just to get a private space. I'll have to kind of do that. And after that, I may be seeing a friend in the evening, possibly. I'm not sure if that's going ahead yet. So, I'm aware of my sort of, especially my triggers in the last few days about seeing people and regulating myself. So, and with the travel as well, like when to visit a friend, I think I have to get the bus back to like the centre of town, and then it's probably like a 15-minute walk. I could get another bus, but part of me perhaps may prefer to walk there. to get a bit of exercise, and it's maybe a bit less stressful than to get another bus and do all of that stuff as well. So yeah, maybe a long day. I think there'll be time to rest as well around my brother's space. I think he's not going to be there in the afternoon, so I can perhaps get a bit of rest there before sort of heading back into the city, and maybe arrange it there. But there's something about when you've got to do something later in the day, even it may be very nice to do, to see a good friend, and sometimes that can put me a bit unease knowing that I can't fully relax. I've got a bit long walk ahead of me later in the day, so yeah, maybe there's just awareness of a bit more of a heavier day, and perhaps that's a call to do more regulation, to maybe, sometimes it may not feel like you need it to regulate unless you're in a complete dysregulation, but I feel like maybe there's a big benefit of, even if you don't feel that way, but you're kind of topping yourself off with a bit of rest. And so maybe in the afternoon I could maybe watch some more ASMR, or just do something relaxing, listening to some meditation music and closing my eyes for a few minutes. That could be an idea. Even if I don't feel like I really need it, maybe I can experiment with that. If I can push myself to do that, that might be good. And sometimes it's hard for me to do that, to push myself and certain things, but I'll see how it feels. Maybe I can just kind of feel it out, see how it goes. And hopefully I'll record another vlog, like post EMDR session, just to kind of talk about that for those who may not know about it, and just generally if anyone's kind of interested in seeing how that went, I may just post. Yeah. I also did a session in a flotation tank recently, which I want to perhaps talk about in a different vlog. Maybe I'll record something when I'm there as well about that. That'd be nice to maybe reflect upon, and maybe create awareness for those who may not have come across that as well. So yeah, so I'm just going to finish the rest of my coffee, and I think before leaving to get the bus on Brothers, I think I have like an hour or so I may just like watch an episode of something, of a series that I was watching before, just to kind of switch off for 40 minutes before leaving. Might be a good idea. Yeah, and some good reminders.